Hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk about what a silent mind feels like, what it feels like to have a mind that is calm. Now I've gone through many phases in my life where a silent mind just was not possible. Now before I was medicated for schizophrenia, I had no idea of how to basically calm my mind, and that this extreme turbulation in my mind was not normal. I thought it was normal. It made sense to me that this is how everybody lived, but of course that was not the case. Having this constant feeling of guilt, depression, and fear always on you for no reason, I felt like that what was normal. And it wasn't until many years later that I realized that I was schizophrenic, especially when it kicked in full force around the age of 15 or 16 when I started using drugs and alcohol. And that's when it really kicked in. And it became so much worse. The paranoia, the fear, hallucinations, the inability to sleep, and basically just a low quality of life. That's what happened once schizophrenia really kicked in. And I'm going to go ahead and title this Schizophrenic Confessional as number 3. And the reason why this is a confessional is because a calm mind, a silent mind, is very hard to achieve. And I didn't always try to achieve it in the right way. Now, a lot of the time, people try to achieve a quiet mind, a silent mind, through inaccurate, through unproductive methods. And my way to achieve a calm mind, a silent mind, was to basically numb it for so many years, or starting at the age of 15, for 3, 4, 5 years, and I went back and forth for a while, but trying to use drugs to calm my mind, to make it tame, even just for a day. I wasn't even thinking about 2 days in the future, but just for a day. And sometimes just for, even a few hours. I just didn't have a limit on my method for coping with the activity in my mind, so I chose substance abuse to an extreme and used many substances. There was days when I didn't even know which drugs I was addicted to, so I had to take different drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, just to try and figure out what I was craving, which is nuts because I was craving so many different things. And this was, mid-teenage years. I was past this point in my 20s once I reached 20. But for about 3 or 4 years of my teenage years, from 15 to about 19, there was a lot of turbulent waters in my mind that I just simply didn't know how to calm. Now, meditation is what I'd always recommend to anyone, because even though I don't meditate like I should, even though I don't meditate as much as I used to, I'm still reaping the benefits from meditation. It's been a great boon to have meditative experience and to know how to control little things in my mind that I learned through meditation. Now, you might ask, how do you learn through meditation? Basically, you learn through consistent practice, but there are some techniques to start out with. You can sit basically with your legs crossed, try to put a pillow down or a cushion, and that's easiest for Westerners like myself. And I tend to rest my hands like this on my knees. And keep your spine straight, keep your spine very straight as you can, and breathe in deep. Hold for a couple seconds, breathe out all the way, hold for a couple of seconds, breathe in, hold for a couple of seconds, breathe out, hold for a couple of seconds, and kind of repeat that. But you always want to do it slowly. Breathe in and out slowly, and hold it for 1 to 5 seconds, I'd say. Just kind of experiment with it. And a simple technique that I would use starting out would be to kind of basically just try to push all thoughts out of your mind. When thoughts come into your mind, when they try to intrude back into your meditative work, just don't push them out aggressively, or don't judge yourself for having them, but just try to push all thoughts outward. Try to push them away and outside of the space of your mind. And basically have an empty space to where you're not saying anything to yourself, you're not really thinking about anything, you just have space in there. Try to get to the point where, and it takes time, it takes practice, but if you practice 5 minutes a day, I guarantee you'll see improvements in so many areas of your life. You'll be able to emotionally control yourself after a month or two, and 5 minutes a day just for a month or two will do wonders. And up the minutes if you feel like you can. I'm still reaping the benefits, so I haven't meditated in a while. I meditate with crystals sometimes as well, but that's a whole different thing. Even just for 5 minutes for a couple months, every day for a couple months, you'll have emotional control that you've never seen before. You'll have a clearer view of what you want in life. You'll have a decreasing fear of death, which is very interesting because the more you meditate, the less you fear death, because you have really gone down to the basically the code of your mind, the fabric of what makes up your mind, and you see the flaws in it clearly. Even if you're not thinking thoughts, if you're just creating that space in your mind, you see the fabric clearly, and you're able to see that fearing death doesn't avoid death. It doesn't stop death. It is basically futile. And you can say that and you can think that you realize it, but to really feel it is another thing. And another benefit of meditation is that you will find you value life more than you did before. You might value animals' lives, you might value plant life, and most certainly human life than you did before, because you feel a connection to all life and all existence because of a quieting of the mind, which divides us and the choppy waves in our mind, basically create kind of like a bowl that keeps our consciousness inside. If we get those waves down, if we work towards decreasing those waves on the outside of the bowl, to where there is no separation between us and everything else, then it's very easy to feel a greater connection to everything around when that division doesn't exist, that division that the chaotic mind produces. Now, a silent mind is not easy to achieve, especially for a schizophrenic or somebody who's depressed like me, because your mind is very choppy. And you might think if you're depressed, your mind would be less choppy, less energetic in the bad way, negatively, and just with too much chaos. You might think that, okay, everything is deadened if you're depressed, but generally your mind is more choppy. It has a higher rate of of thoughts per minute, and a lot of them are very chaotic in speed and basically wavelength. But anyway, I've learned this as well through Muse, the meditation headbands that I've used so many times in the past. And my thoughts and it basically reads the activity of your thoughts. Use an app on your phone. When the noise of wind, of rain picks up, you can choose this on the app. Then basically your mind is more active and you try to decrease that activity. But anyway, I don't want to really get into Muse right now, even though it's a great thing. I learned that my mind is very active because you can look at the whole chart at the end of the session. It's very active as far as how many thoughts I have per minute, let's say. And my friend did it actually, and it was like, ooh, because he had a few thoughts, but they were always just random, so it was kind of like that instead of like this for me. But all this information I'm trying to explain to you is basically to help you understand how to achieve a calm mind, a silent mind. And self-talk is very important. And for schizophrenics and depressed people, self-talk is all about tearing yourself down, because you feel torn down inside, so you try to reason as to why you feel that way, and your reasons are like, okay, I am a piece of shit. But this is the same for just regular people who tear themselves down. Maybe people like you, and certainly people like me. Well, I have schizophrenia, but many people tear themselves down. And the reason why people tear themselves down is because they think that because they've experienced misfortune, they blow it out of proportion, and they try to find reasons as to why they deserve this pain. And they try to explain it, but they explain it through the negative, pessimistic form. So achieving a silent and a calm mind is very important. Very achievable if we learn to develop proper self-talk. Thoughts that don't tear us down but lead us towards a goal. That will also give you a more silent and calm mind. But I'm going to go ahead and end it there. This has been Schizophrenic Confessionals. It's been more about brainwaves and the mind in general, for schizophrenics and depressed people as well, but also regular people. And I hope this has helped. Feel free to hit that thumbs up down there if it has, and I'll produce more videos like this in the future. And this has been Schizophrenic Confessionals number 3. Thank you very much for watching.